Hey guys, how are y'all doing? How's your day going? And if you're just starting, how's your night? Hope you had or are having an amazing day. Today is day 5 of our 100 days of Python, and today we're going to be focusing on loops because that is something that everybody should have an idea of. And since we did list and we touched on the for loop in our previous, I think yesterday, but today we're going to dive into it. So let's just jump into it. So we're going to resume with our for loops using lists. Now, for loop is used when you want to loop through a given set of data. For example, a list. We're going to define the list here. And I'm just going to define random integers to it. So just have 1, 2, 3, okay, to 10. All right, that should be okay. I mean, usually it's to 0, but let's just leave it like that. And now, what if we wanted to print out every single thing that is currently present in this list? Now, one thing we could do, like what we're doing yesterday, was to just print out the list function itself, the list variable, save it, and you run it, and we're going to get the list. But what if we wanted to print it out on a different line? So how would we now go about this? That's when we're now going to we're going to now introduce what is called for loop. So the way you use for loop is very easy. So the syntax of for loop is you call for the for function, and then you're going to declare like a, I don't know what to call it, but like an initializing function. For example, the most popular one for I. Then you're going to now check using your membership operator. So for I in this case list, which is saying that for every individual element that is currently present in list, do whatever it is we ask you to do. So now this one, since it's a simple program we're working on, let's just type it here. So you must always indent it. So we're going to just say for I in list. So we don't want to do anything special. We just want to print it out. So if we run it now, it's going to print it on an individual. Sorry, no, not list. Sorry, because we print I. Control S. There, so it has printed out every individual element in your list. Now we can now start working, like doing more things with it. For example, we can say for I in list, we want to do I maybe raise, or maybe raise to I times 2. So there are many more things you can do wrong without debugging. You can say that for I in this, you just want to print a sentence, hello. I said sentence and I'm writing just one word. So I don't know if you have understood what I'm trying to explain. So now, what else can you do with this? So what if you wanted to calculate average? So let's go to our, today is day 5. All right. So we're just going to create a new Python file, which is just going to be average height. Sorry, why do I keep forgetting to do .py? I don't understand the py. Okay. So now I remember I've been saying that since we're going to start working on how to like learn how to receive the input for the list for the users. But for now, since we don't know how to do that, I just give me a minute. Okay. So since we don't know how to create lists yet, or sorry, take input from user and store it inside the list, we're just going to manually create our own list. So we're just going to use let me say 4, 5. Okay. So this should be okay. Now we want to calculate the average. So I don't know if you remember how to work with average in mathematics. I'm just going to give you a few minutes to just try and like do it by yourself. And if you can't, I'll just show you. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get the length. Now we can just call the length when we're working in our loops, or we can just assign a new variable, and the variable is going to be, so I don't know if you remember, I introduced you to learn function. The learn function counts how many elements that is present in a string, in a list, in a tuple, a dictionary, whatever collection of data it is they are giving. So we're going to get the length of list. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we want to say, let's define another variable which is going to come be like the sum of elements, because when you're calculating the average of something, you're going to add everything and divide it by the length of that digit you're working with or whatever. So for now, we'll just say our sum should be equal to 0. So now we're going to say for I in list, we're going to say sum is going to be equals to sum, the current value of sum plus I, because we want to add I to sum. So once we're now done doing everything, we'll have a new value of sum once we're done looping. So we're going to come out of this indentation, because if we're still working under the indentation, there's going to be applying it every single time an element is found present inside the list. So you need to just take note of that. So now the next thing we want to do, so finally average is going to be equals to sum divided by L. So if we save this, let's just print it. Okay, so we have 5.5, and technically it should be okay because the meeting point of 10 is 5. Oh, so you can use your calculator and check it though. So that's a very, very simple program. Another one is, what if you now wanted to check the highest score given here? So let's just create a new file and just call it highest score. So I'm just working with very basic programs now. So let's just copy this list we have here. Now what I'm going to, I don't need to get the length of it. I'll just get a new variable and just assign it to 0. So I'm going to say for I in list. So now to check if I, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get the current value of I and assign to D. And when I'm doing it again, I'll check if I is greater than D, replace the current value. So we're just going to continue doing that until all the elements in our list finishes. So we're going to say for I in list. Now we're going to now bring in our conditionals. If I is greater than D, then we're going to say D is going to be equals to I. So that is it. So for every element in our list, if I is greater than D, D should be equals to I. So then we're going to leave the indentation and we're going to print um D. Now let's just, because our list is ordered right now, so let's just maybe just put in the large number here. So let me just put 20. So it's 20 I want to get as my output, and hopefully we do get that. We got it. So now there's this stuff in Python that is called the range function. So the range is like when you want to print, it works with digits a bit similar to round int, but unlike round int, you don't need to like have a list that is giving you like all the integers you want to. It's very, very similar to round int, honestly. But round int just returns a single integer, while the range is going to like return, should I say a list? Is that the right thing to say? it will return kind of like a list or something like that. So let's just work with a very basic way. Let's just do this exact same thing we've been doing right now with the range function. So instead of defining like our own list manually, because what if like we wanted to get from 1 to 100, are we going to sit down and like start typing it? You get. So the range function is kind of like to make that a bit more easier if you may. So let's just reassign the value of list. We're going to call range. Now technically range usually takes about two inputs, two parameters, three parameters honestly. So it's kind of like when you are what's slicing through a list. So the first one is usually where you want to start from, but if you want to start from zero, then you don't need to put that in. Second one is going to be where you want to stop at, and the last one is how many times you want to skip. So let's do this. Let's say I want to start from the number one instead from number zero. I want to stop at the number 10, but I want to skip after everything because by default it skips one. So I want to skip by two. So let's just change it from for we want to print I, so we can see everything. So you can see one, you skip two, three, skip four. You're seeing, and you're asking like why didn't I import range? So range is an inbuilt function. So you can see you work with range very similarly to how you'd work with any list. Obviously it just works for integers. I'm not just integers, it works for numerals. So it's kind of like to ease, like say if I like I said, if you want to like write a program that has 1 to 10 or something, like a large set of digits, you don't have to like start manually typing it for yourself. So you can just do that by using the range function. Let's come and let's just work in a couple more projects using everything we've just covered right now. So uh, I'm sorry. So let's add all even numbers. Now, there are multiple ways to go about this. If you watched my previous video, you'd be like, okay, we can just use a module and check if the remainder is divisible by two. Add. Yes, we can do that. That is going to work. But why do that when you have learned something new now? So we can say, let's say we want to do check for all the even numbers within the range of 1 to 10. So can I say L is going to be equals to range. Now we want to start at zero. We mustn't put it. We want to stop at 10, and we want to skip every two times. So next thing we're going to have our sum, which is going to be equal to zero, and last thing now we're going to call our loop. So say for I in L, we now want to say sum is going to be equals to I, and once we're done, we want to print sum. So let's save this. So let's do this by ourselves now for calculating. So if we start at zero, we're going to skip one, so it's going to be 2, then we'll have 6, then 2 for 6, so we'll have 12, then we'll have 20. So I think we should get 20 because I don't think it includes 10. I don't think 10 is usually included. That is my calculation is even correct even start with. Okay, so we got 20. Oh my god. Look at who is smart. She can do her additions very well. Oh my god. Okay. Um so yeah, that is a program to add even numbers. And yeah, what else? Okay, I think this should be okay. This should be okay for now. So yeah, if you have any questions relating to this, feel free to leave your questions in the comment section below. And yeah, like the video, share it to anybody that you think will be helpful, and subscribe so you would know when day 6 and every other day comes out. We're doing 100 days of Python. We're going to work on more than 100 projects, not just basic Python projects. We're going to go into web development, web scraping, data science, every single thing you need to know about Python. But yeah, have a good rest of the day. Bye, guys.